All right, 30 years ago today, Americans had few options for political commentary, the news of the day. Journalism was decidedly one-sided. Network news, along with the print media, they were the kings of all information in America. That all changed 30 years ago. This day, 1988, it changed forever. A man from a small town called Cape Girardeau, Missouri, kicked off a brand new national radio program. It gave a voice to the millions of conservatives in this country that have been ignored, impugned, their values diminished for so long. In doing so, he started what would now become a new media revolution in this country, one that radically would permanently alter the media landscape in America, and by the way, pave the way for people like me, the great one Mark Levin, Laura Ingraham, and so many others. Well, tonight we're celebrating 30 years of the Rush Limbaugh Show, the pioneer of conservative talk radio. That's tonight's mini monologue. 30 years ago today, August 1st, 1988, the Rush Limbaugh Show kicked off nationally on 56 radio stations around the country. The show was radically different from anything else on the airwaves at the time. Now, for decades, all Americans, look, we were force-fed. We got our information, commentary, news from the decidedly one-sided, left-wing leaning traditional mainstream media, but with a very clear, funny, fun, refreshing, informative, conservative perspective. Well, Rush filled what was a desperately needed void in the country, and he gave voice to millions of us. Now, Rush is syndicated nationally on more than 600 of America's best radio stations, heard by more than 27 million people every week. And as it turns out, well, time flies when you're kind of like spearheading an entire movement and an entire new genre of media. Take a look.
They said, well, what are you best at? And I said, probably being on the radio. Well, there's your answer. Do what you're best at, and you'll at least be happy, regardless how well you do it. So I decided to give radio one more chance. I'm sure you've all felt like you weren't going to ever amount to anything, even though you knew you were capable of it. I felt that way. The only difference between you and me is that I'm up here and you're out there. And the only reason I'm up here is because you're out there. You have rejuvenated my life, and you have made me something I never even thought I could be. And I have just one thing to say to you. A sincere and heartfelt thank you.
And media was forever changed. Now, here's the question I want to throw out tonight. What would America be like without Rush, without talk radio, but without Rush on the air for the last 30 years? Without a doubt, he has now had a massive impact, decade after decade, year in and year out. The Doctor of Democracy is the single most influential voice in the early 90s, holding the corrupt Clintons accountable, playing a vital role in the historic Republican midterm resurgence. Newt Gingrich coming to power in 1994. Now, he pushed for America's tough response after 3,000 of our fellow Americans were slaughtered on 9/11, 2001. He was a leading voice for the Tea Party movement in 2010. He was one of the only people that were warning against Obama's radical left-wing ideology and agenda, rightly predicting that those policies would fail. And recently, he has been a steadfast, powerful voice for what is the working Trump agenda, the conservative agenda. And you see the dividends every day. Take a look.
Donald Trump is like anybody else would be. He won the presidency. He won the presidency against all odds. He resents deeply this idea that anybody helped him, particularly the Russians. You people in the media are nuts if you think Donald Trump is going to go along with this. That's not who he is.
There are Republicans and Democrats, but it's basically people who are pro-government, pro-Washington, who think government Washington's the center of the world. They'll give occasional mentions of these things that you mentioned, these policies, to placate voters. But going back to an original question you had here, they don't want Trump to succeed.
On today, the 30th anniversary of his syndication, well, he got a call from a pretty special surprise guest. Let's listen in.
Rush, I just wanted to congratulate you on 30 years. This is your favorite president, and I think you are fantastic. And I heard about it, and today is the big day, 30 years. I wanted to call personally and congratulate you.
I am floored. I thought there was nothing anybody could do to surprise me today. I've been preparing for anything. Mr. President,
you're a very special man, Rush, and you have people that love you. I'm one of them. But you're a very, very special guy. What you do for this country, people have no idea how important your voice is. So I just wanted to personally make this one, and I said I'll even dial the number myself if I have to. But I just want to congratulate you. 30 years in that tough business is incredible. And you're stronger now than ever before.
Well, I thank you so much. It's such a thrill to hear from you.
My friend Neil Bortz, also a talk show, once referred to Rush as the Babe Ruth of talk radio. He was right. And during his call with Rush today, the president also brought up how often I call him the dean of talk radio. Watch this.
You know, people don't realize what a great achievement 30 years is, and that cutthroat business that you happen to be in. You know, you might not find that because you're so good at what you do, but it is a cutthroat business. And for you to do this for 30 years is truly an amazing accomplishment, and there's no voice like it. And even your friend Hannity agrees with that. He said, there's nobody like this man. So I said, oh, gee, I guess I thought you two would be competitive. He said, nope, he's the dean.
No way.
He called you the dean.
No way. It was a guest host. He guest hosted for me when we first started.
No, he's great, and he's a tremendous fan of yours. They all are. Everybody is. So I just want to congratulate you. 30 years of, and just do it for another 30 years. After that, you can take it easy, okay?
I will do that. I'll stay around as long as you do.
Okay, you have a deal.
That's a pretty good deal. But you know what? It is a competitive business, but people like myself, the great one, Mark Levin, Laura Ingraham, and most people that work in talk radio, we all understand that he forged a path for all of us. Here's the big question, though. I personally, you think back of the last 30 years, think about America today without Rush's voice, that booming conservative voice for 30 years, his unwavering commitment to conservative ideology, philosophy, frankly, his wonderful, warm sense of humor, his outrageous humor, his steadfast love of country. He's literally given this country insightful commentary decade after decade, and it has changed the media landscape in this country forever as he led the way, forging a path like earlier pioneers like Jerry Williams and Barry Farber, Bob Grant, all these guys, some outrageous, controversial, some not. We get to do what we do today because he single-handedly opened up a whole new marketplace. He had the courage of his convictions. He paved the way for a new media and a political revolution. And the fact, for example, you're watching me right now is in part because of these great pioneers courageously forging that path. He had the audacity to stand up versus the status quo. He took a lot of heat. He stood for honest, conservative, great American values. They have tried again and again to take him down, and they take it just like they try to take Mark, Laura, me down whenever they can. But here we are. We're blessed, and we're better off as a country. The media has some diversity because of his life's work. So, Rush, on behalf of me, Mark, Laura, conservatives everywhere, millions of us, thank you. Congratulations. 30 great years of broadcast excellence.